Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities, where he's the managing director and senior equity research analyst, joining us now. Dan, why Volkswagen? Why is that the best fit, do you think, for Apple? And how seriously do you think they're going to take this move?
Yeah, I think Volkswagen, they're diving into the deep end of the pool on EVs. You saw it this week at 6 Gigafactories. The reason it's VW, in our opinion, it's because of the modular build out, the way their manufacturing facility in terms of EVs, that fits well with what I think Apple's trying to do. I think from a partnership perspective, it fits like a glove in terms of Apple. And they're going all in on EVs. If I look at BMW, that makes a ton of sense strategically. I just think EV is sort of dipping the toe in the water, half embracing EVs, which is why VW, you kind of go through everything. And then I think that the bow or sort of the ribbon on top of everything else is the QuantumScape ownership. I believe that's a potential game changer in terms of battery technology on solid state. Put all that together, I believe Apple and VW announce a partnership by summer with an Apple car hitting the road by 2024.
So, Dan, what does that actually look like? Because this is a little bit unusual for Apple. I mean, is the car going to have an Apple logo on it? Does it still have a VW logo on it? Apple's probably not going to like that part. I mean, they're not a manufacturer, so they're clearly going to need a car company if they want to get into this. But how does that look?
Yeah, and first take a step back. It's a matter of when, not if, Apple gets into EVs.
But why?
Which is why,
but why, Dan?
And they're going to do it from part. There's 5 trillion reasons for Apple to get into the EV market. It's no different than why Baidu's doing it in China with their Geely partnership. We're talking about golden age for EVs, and you're not going to have the biggest consumer products company and brand in the world, Apple, looking at this from the outside looking in, which is why a partnership we believe is not just most likely, that's going to be the path. And in terms of the look, it's ultimately going to be something that could be a VW, but ultimately an Apple branded car. Now, there's other partners that we believe they're talking to. We've talked about Hyundai, Ford, even potentially a NIO. And right now they're going through an EV dating game. But I think ultimately when they walk down the aisle, in terms of that partnership, it's VW.
What does Apple bring to the party or to the wedding? Because VW is trying to push ahead with software. One thing that Tesla has done is basically generated its own proprietary chemistry and its own proprietary software. Volkswagen probably can do the chemistry. It's going to find it, I think, tough to do the software, but it's making a really kind of big effort and investment there. When you bring in Apple, what happens? Kind of what does Apple integrate into these vehicles? How much software, how much Apple software is there going to be? And how much of that Apple software then feeds out into the rest of the VW product line, do you think?
Yeah, and you're talking 1.6 billion iOS devices. Obviously, what I view as best consumer brand in the world. And what they bring is that technology from Cupertino, the LiDAR, and I believe self-driving. I think that's going to be, important in terms of what they bring in terms of autonomous to the table. And when it comes down to why would they want to partner with Apple, I believe even if Apple gets 3 to 5% market share, I mean, that could be a significant growth driver for Apple. And of course, for VW, bringing the Apple brand in there. And right now, this is an arms race going on in EV. You're seeing it with Ford, GM, of course, VW, $5 trillion market the next decade. And it's really something that automakers have to quickly pivot, because right now in the EV market, it's really Tesla's world. Everyone else is paying rent, chasing after them. There's going to be many winners. Right now, there's that window of opportunity, and I think that's what Apple's looking for in terms of their next partner.
Well, I'm wondering how it works then on a licensing basis, as in why just Volkswagen? Like, is there a model that Apple could pursue like it does its App Store, but for cars?
Yeah, and there could be more partners, especially geographically focused. And that's also why they were talking to Hyundai in terms of how it was reported in terms of that Korean market. And also Hyundai also has a modular structure. But I do believe it's a global brand. And it's one that, just like you were talking about, lets them brand the Apple car, even though it's produced and almost manufactured from an OEM. And I believe it's a rev share model, and more putting software into that in terms of what that could ultimately look like. in terms of an Apple car. But in terms of EV, we're talking 3% penetration today. We've gone to 10% the next 3 to 4 years, and obviously being led by everything happening in China with Neo Xpeng and others.